Now, anger usually is intimately related to righteousness. You'll notice that when you get angry at somebody, it is because you feel you have been wronged and you have a sense of right. Right? And it is said in the spiritual literature that righteousness and being right is one of the last gates to the inner temple. It's one of the last obstacles to getting in the inner temple. And that one of the problems of spiritual work is ending up being a good yogi. You are a really good yogi. You know all the shlokas, you know all the positions, you do it all perfectly right. You are really righteous and good, but you're not free. And it's called the golden chain, the chain of righteousness. And you certainly see that in most religious traditions, that the priest class gets very caught in being good, in being right. And freedom lies behind good and evil. It lies behind right and wrong. It's the one that lies behind the two. It goes behind all polarities. When you want to become free, then your righteousness and your anger are much less interesting than they used to be. You less feel comfortable just sitting in your righteousness than you do in throwing it back into the pot in order to become free. And what my guru was saying to me was, become free. Let go. And he wasn't saying, work it out. He was just saying, let it go. Now, when I was angry at all those people at the temple, I was right about every one of them. I mean, there was no doubt about it. They were irresponsible, sloppy. I had a reason for every one of the 34 people that I was angry at, 30 some odd people. They were all inadequate to the situation. And he said to me, let go. He said, I told you to love everyone. And I said, yes, but you told me to tell the truth, and the truth is I don't love everyone. And he said, love everyone and tell the truth. Now, it's interesting, because that's like, it's putting two things together that don't go together. But they don't go together from where I'm standing. So what he was saying to me was, when you finish standing where you think you are, in which they don't go together, you will end up standing in a place where they go together, right? Where the truth is you love everyone. And that was incomprehensible to me, because I looked over and I hated all these people. But as I looked at them with his words in my heart and mind, I looked and I saw that I hated their actions, but right behind that, if I just shifted my gaze just a little bit, they were all souls caught in their own stuff, which led them, their fears, which led them to do thises and that's, and led me to do thises and that's, and judgment. And right behind it were these beautiful, pristine souls that I loved very dearly. And so I flicked my gaze, and I looked and I saw that I loved them. And I was angry at actions, but not at beings. I also saw that anger is divisive. Anger keeps, when you're angry, you push against something. When you push against something, it separates you. It defines what isn't you. And yet I understood that where I'm going to is a place which embraces the universe and experiences the unity of all things. So that every time I held on to anger, even if I was right, I ended up cutting myself off. And I had lived years and years with a heart that was closed and tight and cut off. And I could feel it affecting my body. It affected everything about my life. I was so alienated from life by my anger and my righteousness and my judgment, which came out of my own sense of inadequacy. Can you hear that issue? It may be familiar to some of you. And what I then realized was that it was too painful to be right. It was costing me more than it was worth. And that I wanted to be part of the flow of the universe rather than to be sitting in judgment of it. And that the anger was not going to get me to God. I heard what he was saying. And he said, give up a little anger each day and I'll help you. And I started to respond that when anger arose, instead of cultivating it and, fertilizing it and watering it and feeding it, I just said, the hell with it. It's not going to get me where I really want to go. It's a way station along the way, but it's not going to get me there. And even though I'm right, I'm going to give it up. Because I looked and I saw as we'll see in politics, which we're going to discuss in a few minutes, I saw in politics the way in which anger was divisive and it polarized people. And I saw that you had to be able to oppose people without anger. And that anger was not necessarily a functional commodity. And that I could just let it go. And it was hard because there was pride involved. Because I was right. And he didn't say work it out. He didn't say sit down and you say, well, I was a little wrong, and you say, well, I was a little wrong, and then everybody feels better. That wasn't what he said. He said, give it up. He didn't say work it out. And I realized that went counter to my whole psychological training. But I decided that I wanted to be free. And I just give it up. And it's been very difficult. Extremely difficult. Because often the people that I am angry at I'm really right. And then I realized that I am not free, and I want to be free. And so I let it go. And if they've done stuff that is inappropriate, that's their problem. My job is to keep my heart open, because if my heart is open, they can change that much faster. I don't have to sit in judgment. I don't have to play God with everybody around me. And so I have practiced letting my anger go. And I would say that I have about 1/10 of the anger I had 15 years ago. I was a very angry person, very judgmental and very angry, and held grudges. And I would say I don't have those anymore. I think there are maybe a couple of people that I have stuff to work out with at this moment. That I have stuff where I'm holding something. And it's very painful to me, and I see that I have to let it go. People that I've worked very closely with, where I feel that I've gotten caught in my own judging mind. That's my problem, and I've got some work to do. I don't see it as something when I'm right any longer. I just see it as a problem.